Hi everyone, Scott Weaver with Designers Workroom. So today we're going to go over 9 items that you should have in your workroom, your sewing room, whatever you would like to call it. These are important things, and I'm going to start right off with the table. A table that you should have should be as big as you possibly can make it, giving yourself enough room to be able to walk around at least 3 sides of it. I've never heard anybody complain that their table is too big. So making sure that you have a fairly large table would be a good thing. Our tables here, we actually have 3 tables, and we'll just pan down. This is the table I'm standing at right now. This table is actually 12.5 feet long, and it is 5 feet wide and 12.5 feet long. We have 2 of these particular tables that size, and then we also have one that's much longer that is 16 feet long. So the larger the table you have, the more productivity you can get, especially if you're doing valances and draperies. So try to plan on getting yourself a large one. The other thing is, I think this one stands 33.5 inches tall. Comfort is going to be an issue. You don't want one that's too squat or too short where you're bending over it a lot. The second thing that you really should have are tape measures on your table. Now these are self-adhesive tape measures, and you'll find them, I have them on here on both sides. I have them. These are available on Amazon, and a lot of the things I am mentioning today you will find if you a link below, and you'll find most of these items in my it's an affiliate link to Amazon, so you'll be able to find them fairly quickly. These self-adhesive tapes are fairly cheap, but they come in really handy. Coming down the pipeline at number 3 would be a good ruler. This is 2-inch ruler, and it's got the little bead up, of course, because we use them all the time, but it has the numbers right on it in inches, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch increments. A good one is going to be 2 inches wide. You don't want anything less than that. So you either want a good 60-inch one or 48-inch they also have. And I want to show you something and why it's important to have these rulers and a good ruler and a good tape measure, because you can put this right on your table. Now, if you're making, say, 16-inch cuts and you have enough, you're going to be able to do 16, 32, 48, and in increments like that, 64 inches. And you're going to be able to take that ruler and be able to mark them off all at one time. Which leads me to my next one, which is a wooden dowel. It's a basic wooden dowel. This happens to be, 15 inches long. And let's zoom in on it just a little bit. This you can pick up at any hardware store and relatively cheap. And all I did is drilled a hole through here with a regular drill, big enough to put my pencil in. And here's the thing, if it's a little bit too big, not a problem. Just take a little masking tape, put it around your pencil, and boom. Now you can reach all the way across your table and draw your marks without having to go to the other side, because that is a complete waste of time when you can draw all on one side. You may not be able to cut it, you may have to go to the other side to cut it, but at least that takes care of one thing. Next item are these clamps. If you've watched my videos before, these clamps, these are like having little hands. You should have at least 4 of these, and I think you can get them in packages at Amazon of 4 of them. And again, they're relatively cheap, and you'll find the link below. Everything's in the store just to help you out. Anyhow, you'll notice that I always use these clamps Clamping down your fabric before you cut it is just going to make your job more accurate. You can also stack layers of fabric on here and get the job done a little bit quicker. Next item is going to be the pressing board. And again, this is not something you're going to find on Amazon. You just have to make one. A good pressing board is going to be essential, and one that can sit onto your table. So if you're using an ironing board and you're making valances, it's okay, but a pressing board is better. This is what ours looks like, and we keep it on the table because a lot of times we're making long valances. We need to press it, so we put this in the middle of the table. And this guy right here, I mean, you don't have to, any size will work. This is a 46 inches wide, and it is 18 inches, 18 by 46 inches. Doesn't really matter what size you're doing, but that gives you good surface, especially if you're doing valances and you're pressing valances. Having something a little bit too narrow isn't going to work very well. This seems to work out fairly well for us. So the next item is a 36-inch ruler, metal. Definitely need a metal one. And the reason why is because a lot of times you'd be cutting something, and let's say you're cutting an odd-sized pillow. You've got it 30 inches here, and you can bring it to the edge. You've already have 22. You can mark off a 22 inches here, and then you can come across like this. Also, there's a lot of things that you may have to angle. So having something a little smaller, as into a 36-inch ruler, is a must. The next thing up is a great pair of scissors, not just a good pair of scissors, especially if you're doing valances. So what I use, and you've seen in all my videos, and I've been using these for over 30 years, these are the WISS, W-I-S-S, and they're, this is a number 20 left-handed, because I'm left-handed, but you can get them right-handed. I also have those. You can get them on Amazon. They are pricey. They're like between $30 and $40. They are a great, I mean, if you need to cut layers upon layers upon layers, and without getting your wrist really tired, these are super heavy duty. That's what you would really need if you're cutting. I like them. They're preferred by most of the seamstresses. We do have a few of the cheaper ones that these are Fiskars, made of plastic. They're okay. I can never use them because my thumb barely fits into these. These right here, they're very comfortable. And you'll find on Amazon, if you look at the reviews on these, they are, you know, top reviews on these. They're pricey. They're an awesome treat if you can afford to get yourself a pair. It'll be the only pair you'll ever use. So let's go to the sewing machine next, and let's look at a couple of other things that I think make my list. So the next item on my list is a good pair of fabric snips. Now there's several types. You've probably seen these before right here. These are great little thread cutters, but they're not really, do not make good snips at all. They're too pointy, they're too long, you lose control when you're trying to snip fabric or snip a thread off of your machine. Just not a great thing to use. Then you've got something like this, these little plastic guys like this. Which I bought a bunch of them. I thought, that, some of the sewers would like them. They hate them. And I actually, after I used it, I have to agree. They're very hard to work. They're hard to control. So our number one pick for a pair of snips looks like this. These you'll also find in my list on Amazon. Again, they're going to be more expensive than your normal, but these act as two different things, because one, you can snip your fabric. You can snip your threads really easy using these. So that's number one. But number two, if you need to rip out, this makes an excellent seam ripper too. Just how these little points are, and so you can actually put that in there, and you can pull out a thread. You can snip it. with it. Once you snip it, then you can just pull out. And I'm just pulling out one little thread, and it works really good for just pulling out thread if you need to rip apart something, because not only can you pull the thread out like that, and then you can go ahead and you can snip it off, and you can keep moving and moving with it. So it makes a good seam ripper, but also a great thing to snipping your threads off. So highly recommend the ones that are like this. There's no name on this, but I have purchased it off Amazon, and they last for years and years and years. That's our number one pair of snips. These other things nobody cares about. Okay, and the next would be a good magnet. Magnets are great for sewing, and for several reasons. If you were sewing a pocket and you have like a 2-inch heading and a 3-inch pocket, so that's 5 inches. Okay, now you can take your ruler, and especially if you have a commercial machine, but you can set it. You've got right in between here. You've got your 5 inches. You put it there, and you can stick your magnet right on the metal block here, and you can sew away. But it's not only for long parts. If you're sewing something with the scallop where it's hard and you're going around corners, you can't see the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch guidelines on here. You set this wherever you like it, and as you're sewing, you can go around the corners much more accurately using a magnet like this. So they come like this, which is our recommended one that we like. Well, there's also several of these guys running around the shop too. If I had my choice of which one I would buy, I would prefer the longer one, but these work also. And this is going to lead me to I think this is my last recommendation, is a whole set of, I'm old school, so I like the old wood rulers. That's just my personal preference on them. And so we have all different sizes. And again, one of the things that we use ours most commonly for is to stick it underneath our sewing foot, and then taking our metal guide and putting it up there. That's just one of the uses. But having several of them, and Amazon's amazing because I think you get a whole set of like 5 wood ones, and they're under $10. I want to say they're almost like $7 for them. So they're very reasonably priced. But that's my list of items right now that we use all the time in our workshop, and for years and years and years. So I thought maybe I'd just share it with you, just in case there's things that you haven't thought of. And if you're setting up your shop for the first time, perhaps this may help you, is what I'm hoping. Anyhow, that's it for this evening. Thank you for watching. Scott Weaver with Designers Workroom.